notification. I know everybody gonna be like, he's not in the studio today, but yeah. Um, okay, waiting notification. Okay, just like that. Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us, one who I'm very humbled would take time out of his busy schedule to come give us some information as well as some inspiration. And that is none other than Alan Johnson. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing phenomenal as well. Thank you very much for man, coming to the People's Podcast and letting us hear your story. The first thing that we want to talk about is Jeopardy. I saw the notification that you posted about you being on Jeopardy. How did that come about?
So I've been trying to get on for, I don't know, most of my life, I guess. Like I became a fan of the show. I don't know, maybe middle school or high school, whenever I started being able to get a few of the questions right. So you have to go through the whole process. If you take a test, and if you get, supposedly there's a cutoff. If you get 35 out of 50 questions right, you go into a straight up lottery. No one except for the people who work on the show know exactly how it works, but this is like the rumor. So the trick is, like, even if you do well on the test, it's not at all guaranteed that you're gonna get on the show. I guess the reasoning behind that is because, if they just had everyone who scored perfect be on the show, in one season, then like there'd be a noticeable drop in quality. Like,
okay.
And so, but the effect of that is that, for me, like many people who try to get on the show, like, you go years of taking the test, not hear anything back. And so last year was the first year that I heard anything back on that first test. And then you take a second test, then you do essentially an audition, you play a mock game, and then maybe you get scheduled for a show. So I didn't even get my hopes up until they called and asked if I was available in December. So I had my taping date December 16th, flew out to LA, which was like a little bit, it was like the peak of the pandemic, so I was not really wanting to be on an airplane, but tried to take all the precautions I could and stuff, and got out there to compete on the show. It was good times. I mean, it's one of those things you can't. It's hard to turn down, even if there is some risk.
Yes, sir. Okay, great. Well, my next, first of all, my sister Miriam says peace, family. So Katina show said congratulations on Jeopardy. This is nice. The Once you got on, what was it like? Once you're on the air, and how did that come? What did it feel like?
I mean, it was awesome. So I spent a lot of time like prepping. I always watch the show, and then sit on my couch, yell out answers and stuff like that. But I spent a lot of time like playing along with the show, standing up, because I knew when I was on the show, you're standing up behind the podium and everything. So I did a lot to try and make it so that when I was like, on the studio stage and everything, that I wasn't feeling out of my element. And I also spent, I spent extra time thinking about like my nutrition, my sleep, everything, because I just wanted to make sure I was like, just mind, body right, for the, like, because you only get one shot, right? Like once you play until you lose, and once you lose, you're done forever. So, I really wanted to take it seriously. And I think from just putting in all the prep, I felt like very much like in the zone. And it was kind of like, in sports, you practice a whole lot so that hopefully when you play, it feels pretty much like automatic. And I think it worked out really well.
Great. And how far did you go? Were you able to get around, or how did that work? How does that work?
Yeah. So I won my first match, and then I lost my second match. So, going in, I was like, everyone was like, man, it would be just an accomplishment to make it on. I was like, I'm trying to win one match. Like obviously going on a streak would be amazing, but my goal was to win one and then see what happens, but I would have been, I honestly would have been pretty disappointed had I not won a match at all. Even though there's a lot that's like up to chance, right? Like you don't know what the categories are going to be. You don't know if you're up against like a James Holzhauer or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So but even still, I was like, just let me win one. And, yeah, and so even though I lost my second match, I was very happy with the overall with my overall experience. I felt like I represented.
That's great. Now, how can we watch it? Is it go to Hulu or AB? Like how can we rewatch the match if we missed it?
So I'm pretty sure it's still up on YouTube. Like
Okay.
it's probably not like I don't think it's like authorized like recording of it, but they haven't taken it down yet. So I don't know. I think someone just posts like every match on YouTube, and I guess I don't know. Sony Picture Studios is not aware or something. But you can look it up. I mean, I think it's like if you look up Jeopardy, like 21821 and 21921.
Hmm.
Last I checked, it was still up there, maybe as of a couple of days ago.
Okay. So once I put this episode of the podcast on YouTube, make sure everybody let's go out and support Alan Johnson and look at it and see how was it. Now, what is your profession? Because you always seem to be very intelligent. So what field did you go into work? I mean, what field of work did you go into?
Yeah, so I'm a software developer. I didn't go directly into software. I took a couple detours. I studied software in college. Then I was a teacher. I did Teach for America and taught high school math in Baltimore for a couple of years, and went to grad school a couple of times. But I eventually ended up doing, when the software world would call it like, full stack web development, essentially. So, and right now I guess about 5 years ago, I started managing software developers. And now that I basically do that full time. I don't really regularly code much anymore. I'm mostly just managing teams. So, and I work for a company called Better. It's a mortgage lender. Manage a few teams that basically work on kind of at the core of what we do as a company. We produce all of the final deliverables of the loan. So paperwork that the borrower signs at the closing table, and all of the paperwork and data that we have to deliver to what are called mortgage investors when they buy the loans from us. So that's what these days I'm like deep in the mortgage world. It's
Okay.
wild because I would not have necessarily imagined that's where I'd end up, but but it's been fun.
Yes, sir. Now, what advice would you give to young people who are coming up who want to go into the field of web design or iTech? Like, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's I think it's a great field for one thing because it's the demand for software engineers just keeps going up and up.
Hmm.
Someone wrote an essay called "Software is Eating the World." Was basically the argument was that every field, almost in the same way that like the combustion engine and electricity changed every field. It's the
Yes, sir.
same thing going on for software. And the argument in the essay, which I subscribe to, is that we're basically still kind of in the early stages of that. So there's always going to be a lot of demand for software engineers. And I think it's in these days, it's a field that you don't have to go to, you don't have to have a 4-year degree to do. A lot of people do like a boot camp program. Some people even like just self-teach and learn using resources that are available online, and just kind of learn by doing and producing stuff, and then you get a job, and then once you're doing the work, then no one really cares about like the qualifications, at least that's true in most of the industry. But I don't know, I think the biggest piece of advice I would give for anyone considering it is like the field changes super super rapidly, and it's kind of like information overload. You cannot possibly know everything because every little part of the field is like kind of expanding. And
Hmm.
so um, I think it's a good field for people who like a lot of change and like having to just like keep running, keeping up with everything that's going on. it could be a little exhausting if that's not like somebody's cup of tea. But I don't know. I like it though.
Okay, great. And thank everybody for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Once we put this on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe. Now, you seem to be a very happy family man. What advice would you give to future husbands? Like, what advice would you give to future husbands?
To future husbands, let's see. I I guess these days everything I can think of advice wise is more like dad oriented because I got two toddlers. I got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. I don't know. I think the biggest thing is probably just, I don't know. I guess at least with kids, like I think the biggest thing is to step out of, sometimes they say like, like live in the moment and like be present and stuff. Like sometimes you don't really want to live in the moment because the moment can be really frustrating. It's like, I think sometimes it's good to have the perspective that like whatever's going on is going to pass. And if, and you can't always solve the immediate problem that's like in front of you. Your kid's crying. You can't always like just make them feel better. Sometimes they're just going to be upset. Sometimes whatever they're saying they're upset about is like not the actual thing that's like bothering them. It's something more abstract that they can't communicate to you about. I think those are the moments where it's like where the kind of the opposite strategy makes sense, where it's just like, let me zoom out. I can't fix this right now. Just gotta let this kid cry it out, and they'll be fine. Like it's gonna be all right.
Okay, great. Now, you being from Naperville, and now all of your family seems to be happy and expanding. What advice would you give to people who, as far as relocating, like wanting to travel to? Because you said basically everybody has left Naperville, which I thought was a great experience for me. But like everybody seems to be, I moved to Atlanta, people move. How has your experience been for traveling? Do you recommend that, or should people? Do you think that like the new people should stay where they're comfortable?
I mean, I don't know. I personally love traveling and change. For me, it's kind of interesting because I didn't really move much growing up. Like, I lived in Naperville or Lisle technically from age like 4 or something until I went to college. And I don't know. And I think that has pros and cons, I think one of the cons was like, I don't feel like I really had a chance to ever like kind of reinvent myself because you're surrounded by the same people all the time,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so I think one of the advantages I found to moving and trying new things and stuff is like, is just the chance to fresh start and kind of, try something different. And then in each transition, you kind of can keep the things that have worked for you in the past and move on to the, and always just be trying to add new things to the mix, and I think that can be a little bit difficult to do, like staying put. But I don't know. I think it's sort of like a to each their own type thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, part of me wishes I would be like, it would probably be like mentally easier for me if I could like stay still more, but I can't.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, what do you do for fun now?
Oh man, I like these days. I mean, mostly just chase these kids around. But I don't know. I mean, they're getting like especially my oldest is about to turn 4 in July, and like so she started to get to the point where like she can do more complex things. We build like Duplos. It's almost like I get to like relive a lot of like discovering things that I loved as a kid and stuff. Play Nintendo Switch with her, play Animal Crossing. They always want to visit the island. That kind of stuff. And I'm really looking forward to kind of, I don't know, I'll do things like play guitar for them and stuff. And right now they're too young to really like, I guess you technically probably can teach a 3-year-old guitar or certainly piano a little bit. But I haven't done that too much, but I'm just looking forward to all the things that you kind of like teach them and stuff. We go out, kick the soccer ball around, all that stuff. And I think on yeah, I guess for me personally, probably the main thing I do these days, I just listen to a massive amount of podcasts. Like
Okay.
listen to some of everything. In my player has like statistics. I listen to something like a month worth of podcast audio each year, which
Damn.
is absurd. The first time I saw that, I was like, that can't be right. But yeah, I listen to a lot though.
Okay. Well, what type of podcast do you like to listen to?
I mean, some of everything. I started off with a lot of interview shows like
Mhm.
Mark Maron, Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
Death, Sex, and Money.
Okay.
A lot of interview shows, and then I got into, when Serial dropped. Did you listen to Serial?
No, I never listened to it.
Oh man, that was wild. It was sort of like the shot heard around the world in the podcast world. It was like one of the first like professionally produced, like, it's kind of like a true crime series. But
Okay.
it was blowing everyone's minds. And then so I got into ones like that were kind of more narrative, and then I listened to a lot of personal finance podcasts, like especially when we were expecting my first daughter, and like, it was like, okay, we got to get like serious and write a will and get our retirement plans in place and stuff. So I got into a lot of finance. I listened to a ton of history. I just absolutely love like world history. So always trying to branch out and learn new stuff on that front. Yeah, just some of everything really.
Okay, great. Well, I love history. I'm a history major, and my sister Naima says, "Hey y'all, hey Naima." What I was going to ask you is, oh, Mark Maron. Have you ever seen his television show?
No, I haven't, man. I mean, yeah, I've been meaning to watch that for a long time, but yeah, I haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, his television show was very instrumental in me wanting to do a podcast. Like I was like,
Oh,
okay,
really?
because he does it in his garage, and it's just him in his garage, and he brings every episode that he has a different person that he interviews on his real podcast. He would do it on the show, but
Okay.
he shows the behind the scenes of how he did it, and it's just him and his opinion, him interviewing these people. But then every episode is some wild stuff going on. But he has real live celebrities coming on. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
I actually, I mean, I knew I was aware of the show, but I never watched it. I need to like actually go back and watch it, because that sounds that
Yeah.
sounds amusing. Like I guess it's kind of like a lightly fictionalized version of like just
Absolutely.
like actual life.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I'll check that out.
No problem. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank you for coming on, bro. Anytime you had anything you want to talk about, man, listen, we brothers, so you can always come on. It's no problem. I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Thank you very much, Alan Johnson, for coming on.
Yeah,
Bro.
thanks for inviting me, man.
Anytime. And please send your family love from my family and, to y'all. So
Yeah, same to you.
no problem. All right. Thank you all for watching.